And we are live with Neil Baer.
I'll flip the phone around. Hey everybody, I'm John Ehrlichman. Welcome to a Parachute TV Spotlight with the great Neil Baer, one of the most accomplished TV executives in Hollywood, somebody who is, hi, nice to see you here, somebody who has worked on so many hit shows over the years, from ER to Law & Order SVU, Under the Dome, and beyond those traditional TV shows that he's known for, still doing some amazing stuff in the documentary world. A big one coming up on PBS tomorrow night. It is called
If You Build It.
So be sure to check that out. Check out Soda Politics, which is really opening people's eyes about
the
soda industry, the obesity epidemic that's taking place in this country. And I think one of the things we've seen, guys, with Periscope is that this is a great place to do storytelling tied to real social issues that are affecting all of us. This guy is very much at the forefront of that. We're going to talk a little bit about Action Lab. Hello, Jim is here. Nice to see you. It Chicago Fire is here. Interesting. Interesting handle. Thank you for the hearts, guys. Don't be shy. If you know people who want to know about making it in the television business, the writing process, the show running process, the producing process, and just being able to take things that you care about, social issues that are important to you, and storytelling, this is the guy to talk to. He'll be here for the next 10 minutes taking your questions. Robbie is saying, does Neil watch Scrubs? And if so, how accurate is it in terms of the medical field?
Inaccurate.
Inaccurate.
It was fun. It was a comedy.
Well, here's the thing.
Many years ago. Not many, but some.
Neil is a Harvard medical school graduate, a pediatrician, and somebody who made his way to ER because he had a passion for writing in this area, but really actually spearheaded this
Accuracy in
there you go. Yeah.
Medical accuracy. So we have our own center now at UCLA called the Global Media Center for Social Impact, where we give writers briefings on any medical issue that they want for free so that they can make it accurate, because we know people get their health information from what they watch, and so we want to make sure it's correct.
Well, and look, this is part of a trend we're seeing in the world right now. We are live. There's, I think, less filtering in how stories are told. This is happening in real time, you know, and someone was tuning in from Egypt. So you've got an amazing global audience that wants to hear about what's going on right now. Guys, if you have questions for Neil, let us know. Whether you want to talk about his own history, how he made it to Hollywood. Brazil is here as well. A guy who comes from a medical family basically in Denver and followed that pursuit. Kazakhstan is here as well. Pretty amazing house, and thank you very much for all the hearts right now. And just the process of writing as well. Kill Again and Kill Switch. So an accomplished author, an accomplished player here in television. Hello from Cape Town, a wonderful audience from around the world. Now, you know, when you were making shows, I guess now you see it a lot. 600 TV shows in production. Why is there no diversity in writers? Okay, well, we'll take that first question. Would you agree with that comment or not?
Well, there's what kind of diversity? Racial diversity, gender diversity, sexual orientation diversity. There's lots of different kinds of diversity, but there are a number of programs in Hollywood now that promote various kinds of diversity. We've had on my shows diverse writing staffs as well. We really work for that. There's a program that was at NBC that brings on staff writers who have diverse backgrounds. So certainly the DGA, the Directors Guild, and the Writers Guild are very concerned and interested about that issue and promote it. So we have a long ways to go. In fact, the Writers Guild is just right down the street.
There you go.
But we're working on it. But I would say that it's improving some, but we have a long ways to go. But I'm glad someone asked that question, because we do think about it, but we have to take action.
All right, thank you for your question. And somebody's saying they're a big fan of SVU. And then another question, I think, about the inspiration, I think Wendy was asking, but the inspiration for, I guess, both Kill Again and Kill Switch.
Right. Well, those books are about a forensic psychiatrist named Claire Waters, and it's just based on my interest in forensic psychiatry, which had a huge part to play in Law & Order Special Victims Unit, because forensic psychiatrists are the ones who treat people in prison, people who commit criminal acts. So I wanted to continue that and look at the science behind it. Since I wasn't doing SVU anymore, it was my way to still do an SVU kind of project. So I did these two novels with one of the SVU writers, John Green, and it has some elements that are very much like SVU in it.
So you had tremendous success here in Hollywood, taking issues that you knew quite well or building off of things that were deeply rooted in reality, and then bringing them to scripted television. And now there's so many ways to get your stories out there,
Right.
with the rise of all sorts of different technology platforms. Maybe tell us a little bit more about Action Lab, what it is, how it works, and how it can, influence the storytelling,
Sure.
landscape going forward.
What we call Action Lab, bridging the gap between inspiration and action. So tomorrow night, if you were to watch my show on PBS, my documentary, if you build it, you could go on actionlab.org right after, and we give you actionable steps you can take to make a difference in your community. If you're inspired, say, by a documentary like ours tomorrow night, and you want to build a farmer's market, but you don't know how in your town, we tell you how. If you want to have a special design course like these kids are taking in North Carolina, we tell you how to do that. And we also attach it to the book Soda Politics. So in the e-book version of Soda Politics that's coming out in the next week, we put actionable steps throughout each chapter. So there are 55 things you can do to take sodas out of your community, out of your school, and out of your home. We know, for instance, that sodas are the #1 contributor to childhood obesity, which is a rampant, flagrant problem in the United States and around the world. So, and if you go on our website and you don't go through the ebook, we still give you all these different activities you can do to take action to make a difference. And so that's why we call it bridging the gap between inspiration. You're inspired by a book, you're inspired by a documentary, and you want to do something, but you're not sure exactly what. We help you find something that can make a difference.
Very interesting, and people were sharing the link. It was actionlab.org.
Right.
There you go. And this is Soda Politics as well, guys. Did the theme of how prevalent was the theme of like diabetes on ER? Like when you were
Huge.
Yeah.
I mean, I did many episodes on diabetes and also type 2 diabetes, which is caused by obesity.
Yep.
And we used to see it only in older adults, but now we see it in children. And when I was doing my residency at Children's Hospital Los Angeles, I saw severely obese kids coming in with diabetes, and that just was never seen before, but we never saw the number of obese kids as we do now. And so this is a real life-threatening disease. People may think it can just be treated with insulin, and it can be controlled with insulin, but it has harmful effects on your kidneys, your heart, your retinas, and your whole circulatory system, and the nerves in your feet, for instance. So we really want to prevent type 2 diabetes, and the best way to prevent it is to prevent obesity and to increase exercise.
There you go. We'll take a couple more questions. We're live with Neil Baer talking about Hollywood, the process of producing shows, writing for shows, show running, but also taking social causes and turning them into actionable stories. I think one thing that I've always wondered about is this progression that you made from being in the medical field to actually making ER a reality and eventually obviously becoming the executive producer of that show. But you were just writing scripts. Take us through that process of how you made the gift.
I was a writer on China Beach.
Yep.
I wrote an episode of China Beach. It was my first primetime series project, and then I wrote and directed an ABC After School special. They used to make those little 1-hour stories that would come on once a month, and I did those, and those were the first things that I did. And then I went to medical school, and I was sent Michael Crichton's script of ER, which Michael had written when he was a medical student at Harvard in 1969. So I was sent that script 25 years later. It literally was locked in a trunk in Steven Spielberg's office, and someone found it.
Wow.
And Steven said, wow, I was going to make this as a movie, but maybe it would make a better TV series. And that's how it got launched.
There you go, guys. So you never know. You absolutely never know.
What you'll find in Steven Spielberg's trunk.
Keep looking. You might find more treasures. Let's see. Here in Canada, we are going after a tax on sodas. Oh, yes. Interesting. Thoughts?
Well, there's one in Berkeley that got passed, and there's some really convincing data that show that when you do a soda tax, you bring a lot of money into the community that can be used for health education, and it decreases consumption because people don't want to spend as much money. And so just like there's a tax on cigarettes, I think it's a valuable and viable way to decrease soda consumption. So I'm all for it.
Gotcha. Ms. Joe, thank you for sharing this with your followers. And guys, if you have friends that would be interested in hearing some of the great stuff that Neil has done in his career, or are thinking ahead about ways to tell stories tied to some of the things that you really care about. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I think Periscope is very powerful. People are taking us everywhere in the world and showing us things that really matter to them. This Initiative Action Lab, in some ways, is no different than that.
Right.
It's giving you some actionable tools that you can use to go out and do those things that you feel most passionate about. Before we wrap up, and we'll take a couple of other questions if you guys have any, what else are you working on right now? So we've got the doc tomorrow night. Maybe tell us very quickly about the doc and some of the other things that you're involved with right now.
So If You Build It, on tomorrow night on PBS, in a series called America Reframed, is about kids in the poorest county of North Carolina who build a farmer's market to literally save their town. It's a story of obesity, high unemployment, and lack of access to fresh fruits and vegetables. And these kids learn building from a wonderful teacher named Emily Pillaton, who has like 500,000 Twitter followers. And Emily teaches them design, and they end up building this incredible farmers market that still exists and changed the community, created jobs, and brought fresh fruits and vegetables into the town. So it's about the high school kids solving a problem in their community by building this farmers market. And our next project, using Action Lab, which is our web platform to give you actionable steps, is a museum exhibition we're doing with the op-ed writer Nick Kristof.
Sure.
He and his wife, Cheryl Wudun, wrote a book called A Path Appears that came out last year, and we're going to give people actionable steps they can take to make a difference in the world through this interactive, immersive museum exhibition that opens in Los Angeles in November 17th, and then we'll go around the country.
Really cool stuff. Neil, thank you so much for
Sure.
doing this. Guys, as we like to do here every day on Parachute, is show you really interesting people, do great content. So our thanks again for you to being here, and for Neil Baer to share some time with us. And if you like what you see, let us know on Twitter. And of course, be sure to share the broadcast, and we'll do more of this fun stuff here at Parachute TV. Hot Dog LA, you've been putting all this information up here on the screen. Thank you very much for doing that. It helps to have the additional commentary coming on the screen. And that was really great, guys. Thanks again to Neil.
Thank you.
And have a wonderful afternoon, everybody. We will shut it down.